If I ask you to, like, close your eyes right now and just picture a millionaire, what instantly pops into your head? Honestly, it's probably a montage straight out of a movie, right?
Oh, absolutely. A private jet, maybe a yacht.
Yeah. You're likely picturing someone stepping out of that jet wearing a watch that costs more than, a house. Maybe they have some famous last name, or they're a tech genius who sold an app for $1 billion before they turned 25.
Right. There is this massive cultural expectation of visible, loud, just undeniable luxury.
Exactly. And welcome to the series finale of our deep dive. Today, we're tearing down that exact Hollywood image. I've got a massive stack of sources here, research papers, demographic data, and most importantly, the foundational notes from Thomas Stanley and William Danko's landmark study, The Millionaire Next Door.
Which is such a brilliant source. I mean, it really shifts the paradigm.
It really does. Our mission for this finale is to unpack their complete blueprint for building lasting wealth. We are going to go through all 7 of their core traits. And honestly, I want each of these to feel like a revelation, because the most shocking part of this research, it's not about inheritance or high-income luck.
No, not at all. It comes down to a specific set of deliberate, repeatable behaviors. I mean, grounding this in the data right away is so essential. The individuals in these studies didn't just stumble into their net worth.
Right.
They operate on systems, and anyone, regardless of their background, can adopt the mechanics of these systems. We just have to be willing to look past the superficial markers of success, you know?
Yeah. To examine the actual math of how wealth is captured. So let's just jump right into that math. Trait number 1. Because you can't build wealth if you don't actually have any capital to begin with.
Exactly. Trait 1 is living well below your means. It's the physical reality of money.
And looking at the specific data points here, it's wild. The source material shows that these individuals don't just, like, skip the daily latte. They make massive structural decisions.
Yeah, a huge percentage of them never buy current year brand new cars. They buy used, reliable vehicles and they drive them for a decade.
Which is so countercultural. And they live in homes valued at less than 3 times their annual household income.
Yeah.
But the real crux of this behavior, the thing that really stood out to me, is how they handle increased income.
Right, when they get a raise.
Their lifestyle remains entirely static. They don't upgrade.
The mechanism at play there is the prevention of lifestyle inflation. Look, if you make $100,000 a year and you spend $100,000 a year, you aren't wealthy. You are just a high-volume conduit for money.
A high-volume conduit. I love that phrase.
Right. The wealth engine only exists in the gap between what you earn and what you consume. The people in this study create a surplus, and then they fiercely protect that surplus from the natural human urge to just upgrade their surroundings.
So it's not just hoarding the surplus, which brings us to trait number 2. It's about what they do with it. The notes highlight that trait 2 is allocating their time, energy, and money incredibly efficiently.
They budget, they project, and they track everything.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and it strikes me that they treat their personal finances with the exact same ruthlessness that a CFO treats a corporate budget.
That corporate analogy is highly accurate. I mean, a chief financial officer operates on projections and strict capital allocation, right? The millionaire next door acts as the CFO of their own household.
But isn't it incredibly difficult to protect that gap? I mean, every advertisement, every algorithm is designed by behavioral psychologists to make us part with our money.
It's incredibly difficult. And the way these individuals succeed isn't just through sheer willpower. They rely on the mechanics of artificial scarcity.
Artificial scarcity? Wait, you mean they intentionally make themselves feel broke?
In a practical sense, yeah, they automate their wealth engine. The moment the paycheck hits the account, the surplus is automatically swept into investment accounts or real estate reserves.
So by the time they even look at their checking account,
the money is already gone. They don't have to actively choose to save every single day. They just remove the friction of willpower entirely.
that adds so much necessary context. Because simply saying, live below your means, sounds easy on paper, but it ignores the reality of modern economic pressure.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the housing market or inflation today compared to the 90s when some of this initial research came out. The margins for error are so much tighter now.
Which shifts us perfectly into trait number 3. Maintaining that discipline requires a massive psychological pivot. The sources indicate that trait 3 is believing financial independence is more important than displaying high social status.
They're actively choosing the reality of wealth over the performance of wealth.
The performance of wealth, it's such a massive mindset shift. We are so trained to measure people's success by what they spend. But this suggests true wealth is literally what you don't see.
It is. When you buy a luxury SUV to signal to strangers that you're successful, you're literally trading your actual wealth, your capital, for the appearance of wealth. You are functionally poorer by $100,000.
Wow. Yeah, you're buying an illusion.
Exactly. The individuals who actually accumulate high net worth have made peace with being invisible, and there's a fascinating metric in the source material for this.
Oh, right, the pause and the UAWs. Stanley and Danko categorize people into two groups. Pause, which stands for prodigious accumulators of wealth, and UAWs, under accumulators of wealth.
And they give a formula so you can actually calculate where you stand.
Right, you take your age, multiply it by your realized pre-tax annual household income, and divide by 10. That number is what your net worth should be. If your actual net worth is twice that number, you're a paw.
And if it's half, you're a UAW. That formula is the ultimate diagnostic tool because it completely removes income from the pedestal.
How's it?
Well, think about a physician making $400,000 a year who has a net worth of only $300,000. According to the formula, they are a UAW. They're an underaccumulator.
Right.
Meanwhile, a high school teacher making $70,000 a year with a net worth of $500,000 is a paw.
But why is the high-earning doctor so often an underaccumulator? You'd think the person making $500,000 a year would have an incredibly easy time building wealth.
It comes down to this concept of status overhead. Certain high-income professions come with intense, unspoken expectations regarding consumption.
Oh, like you have to look the part.
Exactly. If you're a specialized surgeon, there is immense social pressure from your peers to live in a specific zip code, drive a specific tier of luxury vehicle, send your kids to elite private schools. The cost of wearing that uniform consumes almost all of their massive income.
So the Millionaire Next Door operates completely outside of that status pressure. They're insulated. Okay, so they've built the engine, they've insulated themselves from the status trap. This brings us to the challenge of the next generation.
Right, the generational shift.
Yeah, and this is where the research takes a turn that is incredibly counterintuitive. Trait number 4 is that their parents did not provide economic outpatient care, or EOC.
The EOC data is perhaps the most sobering part of the entire study. EOC refers to significant, ongoing financial gifts from parents to adult children.
Like paying for a house down payment or covering their credit card bills.
Right. And the research clearly shows that the more financial assistance adult children receive, the less wealth they actually accumulate on their own. Receivers of EOC actually have significantly less net worth than non-receivers in the exact same income brackets.
Which leads right into trait number 5. Their adult children are economically self-sufficient. But that flips the traditional provider role completely on its head. I mean, most people think the whole point of getting rich is so your kids never have to struggle.
Yeah, you want to give them a head start.
Exactly. But these millionaires intentionally let their kids figure it out on their own. This data suggests that by giving them a head start, you are actively harming their ability to generate wealth.
It's like a biological system. Think of financial discipline like a human immune system. An immune system doesn't get stronger by being kept in a sterile bubble, right?
Right. It needs exposure.
It requires exposure to friction and pathogens to build antibodies. When parents provide constant economic outpatient care, they place their adult children in a sterile financial bubble. The kids never experience the friction of a budget shortfall.
So they never build the antibodies required to resist lifestyle inflation.
Exactly. They never learn the mechanics of artificial scarcity we talked about earlier because there is no actual scarcity. If they run out of money, a check magically appears.
And when the parents eventually pass away and the trust fund becomes fully accessible,
that unearned wealth often evaporates within a single generation. The adult child's lifestyle expands rapidly to consume the new capital. And because they possess no financial immune system, they just cannot sustain it.
So the self-made millionaires in this study refuse to provide EOC to their adult children. They pass on the framework instead of the capital. The ability to create wealth is the real inheritance.
Exactly. The resilience to navigate a shifting economy is far more valuable than a subsidized down payment on a house they can't actually afford to maintain.
Sometimes, refusing to write the check is the most loving thing you can do. Okay, so we've covered the discipline, the psychology of status, and the kids. That's 5 traits. But let's ground this in the day-to-day reality of how they actually make their money.
Right. What are they doing from 9 to 5?
Yeah. Trait number 6. They are proficient in targeting market opportunities. And trait number 7. They choose the right occupation.
And this is where the Millionaire Next Door concept becomes most visible. When we look at the professions with the highest concentrations of prodigious accumulators of wealth, we aren't looking at Wall Street traders or Silicon Valley founders.
No, the sources say we are looking at welding contractors, accountants, owners of mobile home parks, and plumbing suppliers, plumbers and teachers.
Yeah, it's very blue collar or standard white collar.
When I read that, it genuinely shocked me. We hear millionaires and we picture tech founders. Are you saying the boring path actually works better?
It is mathematically far more reliable. Let's look at the mechanics of those dull businesses. A welding contractor operates in a market with incredibly stable demand. They aren't relying on a startup going public or a volatile crypto market.
And they're business owners, so they capture the full margin of their labor.
Right, and they have total control over their overhead. Plus, they don't face the status overhead we discussed earlier with the corporate lawyers.
Oh, right. A plumbing contractor isn't pressured to lease a Porsche to impress their clients. Actually, showing up in a luxury car might hurt their business by making clients think they charge too much.
That is a brilliant observation. Their profession actively insulates them from the performance of wealth. And because their margins are stable and their status overhead is low, they have a massive, continuous surplus.
Which they quietly, methodically invest in broad market index funds over 30 years. But wait, what about the tech billionaires? The media makes it seem like massive leveraged risk is the dominant path to wealth today.
What the media highlights is a textbook example of survivorship bias. For every tech founder who cashes out for $1 billion, there are 10,000 who burned through their capital, worked 100-hour months, and ended up with absolutely nothing.
So the boring path doesn't make for a good movie script, but it is a highly predictable formula.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off. You don't have to be a genius innovator. You just have to be incredibly consistent at something useful.
Relying on time and compound interest rather than a lottery ticket.
Okay, let's bring all 7 of these traits together into one cohesive picture. We started out by redefining the cultural image of a millionaire.
Right.
We've seen that it involves calculating your POS status, living well below your means through automated scarcity, and directing your resources like a corporate CFO.
It requires valuing the hidden reality of financial independence over the flashy performance of status.
And protecting that wealth generationally by refusing to provide economic outpatient care, forcing kids to build their own financial immune systems. Finally, traits 6 and 7. Operating in stable, unglamorous markets where you can control your margins.
What strikes me most about this entire blueprint is what is fundamentally missing from the equation. None of this requires a top 1% income. None of it requires luck or an Ivy League degree.
It simply requires consistency. The willingness to make the exact same disciplined, unglamorous choices day after day, choosing substance over comfort. The system is completely agnostic to who you are.
The math works for anyone willing to apply the discipline.
So I want you, listening right now, to take a second and reflect on your own wealth engine. Look at the formula. Are you an accumulator or an underaccumulator? Are you choosing the performance of wealth, the shiny things that signal success to strangers, or are you choosing the reality of it?
The shift from fake wealth to real wealth starts the moment you decide to step off the treadmill of visible consumption.
And as we wrap up this series finale, I want to leave you with a completely new angle to consider. The original research for the Millionaire Next Door was conducted before the explosion of social media, before influencer culture.
Oh, back then, the pressure to keep up with the Joneses was limited to the physical neighbors on your actual street.
Exactly. Today, the Joneses are global. You are competing with the curated, hyper-edited highlight reels of millions of strangers on your phone every single day. The psychological armor required to be the millionaire next door in the 2020s has to be significantly thicker.
The principles of the wealth engine haven't changed. The math is still the math, but the environment has become vastly more hostile to quiet, invisible wealth.
So the provocative question you have to ask yourself now is this. In an era where our entire lives are broadcast online and every algorithm is designed to make you perform your success for an audience, do you have the psychological fortitude to remain entirely invisible?
Because if you can master the art of being unimpressive on the outside, you might just build an empire on the inside.
What a perfect thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us for this entire series. We have completely loved breaking down these concepts with you. And hey, if you want to be here when we launch our next deep dive series, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss a thing. Until next time, keep building quietly.